I effectively destroyed someone's future, and I'm not sorry. I ran a small contracting business for years, 10 employees, long days, and the constant grind of being the only woman in a crew of men. I didn't get to be taken seriously overnight. It took sweat, stubbornness, and 100 tiny proofs that I knew my stuff. I hired carefully, trained harder, and built a team that trusted each other. For a while, everything clicked. Then came the hire that almost broke everything I'd built. Her name? Let's call her Barbie. 20 years old, new to the trade, bright-eyed in that way that makes you want to teach them everything you know. She learned fast, I'll give her that. But she was loud and dramatic in a way that didn't belong on a job site. She overshared. Private life, relationship drama, weekend binges, like the whole crew was her diary. That kind of energy is contagious and not in a good way. Still, I tried to be a fair boss. I gave her warnings at first, gentle coaching. Keep it professional on site. No bringing non-workers onto the site. If you're hungover, don't show up. I even helped her out when times got tight. A loan for rent, a reference for a side job, because I'd been the young, hungry one once too. Those acts of kindness, it turns out, were misguided. Barbie didn't learn boundaries. She would show up late and off, send drunken texts to coworkers when we were standing right there, and spun gossip like it was her part-time job. I tried mentoring, I tried being firm. Nothing changed. Then $10,000 worth of tools disappeared from a site. No cameras, no obvious leads. There were a handful of us who'd been there that day. Me, 2 senior employees who'd worked with me for years, and Barbie. The timing was suspicious. 2 days later, she walks in with a brand new phone, smartwatch, and a wardrobe upgrade, proudly telling everyone about a shopping spree her boyfriend had taken her on. I confronted her gently at first. She lied and got defensive. The next time I asked, she admitted she'd brought her boyfriend onto the site, a massive safety violation that put people at risk. I told her she couldn't work here anymore. She screamed, quit on the spot, and threw a hammer at my head. It missed, lodged in the wall, and I left it there. A frozen, ridiculous monument to what chaos looks like. You'd think that would be the end. I sure hoped so. 2 days later, uniformed officers appeared at the office. Barbie had accused me of assault, choking her, threatening her life, and claimed my assistant manager, a married gay man who'd been loyal to me for years, had groped her. I handed the officers our security footage without a word. The cameras caught her tantrum in crystal clarity. Everything from the hammer throw to the tirade. The cops watched, said little, and left. But Barbie didn't stop at false assault allegations. She filed false labor claims, accused me of withholding wages, and launched a flurry of allegations: tax fraud, immigration violations, the whole dangerous buffet. I'm an immigrant, yes, but I'm legal. My paperwork is tidy, and my accountant has always complimented how spotless my books are. Still, claims like that spread like wildfire. The local whisper mill did its worst. Bad online reviews, suppliers called with innuendo, contracts put on hold while people looked into it. I documented everything meticulously and mostly stayed quiet, believing the truth would surface. Then the harassment became personal. She started driving past my house. She watched The Office. And the absolute line was when she sent my teenage son a string of unhinged Facebook messages, threats, explicit insults, even words that crossed into "I'll kill you" territory. The messages were a nightmare to read. My son was terrified. That's when logic gave way to fear, and I snapped. I called a lawyer friend. We filed criminal charges for the threats and harassment and obtained a restraining order. For the first time, I stopped being the forgiving boss and started being a mother who would do anything to protect her child. We involved the police, filed everything. I also made a hard decision. I sold my business to my right-hand man. I needed distance, a break, time to heal. My son switched to online school for safety and peace. We both started therapy, and in an odd twist, both of us were diagnosed with ADHD. The therapist's explanation helped me understand some of the ways we reacted to stress and why certain coping strategies hadn't worked for us. Nearly 2 years later, the court date keeps getting delayed, but Barbie has quieted down. She shows up on rare online posts, but she's not the same firebrand. She's been struggling. And then, out of the blue, she applied for a job where I now work in a new industry, a small firm where I hire and train people again. I laughed when I saw the application. I told HR bluntly that a court order prevents her from being within 100 feet of me. That was a fun conversation. HR handled it professionally. The application was withdrawn shortly after. So, yeah, I effectively destroyed her future. What I did wasn't to be punitive or cruel. It was a chain of events triggered by her own choices. She lied, she threatened my family, and she weaponized the systems meant to protect people. I protected myself and my son. I put boundaries in place that I should have put earlier, and I refused to let a reckless person undo years of work and reputation. Do I feel sorry? Number. I feel resolved. People make choices and they live with the consequences. She chose to escalate, from gossip and drunkenness to theft, threats, and repeated false accusations. There's a moral calculus where the victim becomes the protector, the employer becomes the parent defending her child. I didn't relish destroying her future. Nobody should enjoy that. But I also can't pretend there wasn't a line crossed that demanded a response. There are lessons here I didn't expect to learn. I learned how quickly goodwill can be exploited, how fragile a small business's reputation can be, and why documentation matters more than you ever think it will. I learned to be firmer sooner, to make boundaries crystal clear, to keep cameras where they belong. I learned that community whispers have teeth, but evidence and professionalism are the antidote. I'm in a different place now. I work in a field that's less physical, but still about building teams and training people. I still hire carefully. I still mentor. I'm kinder when kindness makes sense, and ruthless when survival demands it. My son is safer, healthier, and more resilient than he was. We both go to therapy and keep getting better. Would I have done things differently if I'd known the chaos that would follow? Maybe I would have set harder boundaries sooner. Maybe I would have trusted my instincts the first time there were warning signs. But would I undo the actions that protected my child and preserved my reputation? Number. You threaten my kid. You forfeit any right to a comeback. You don't get the redemption arc when you hand someone else a mess to clean up. She's living with the consequences of her choices. And honestly, I don't feel bad about that.